Last week, I showed you guys the huge changes and big plans for the clapper build. This week, we crack on with it, and we're aiming for triple the amount of horsepower that it currently has. Not only are we doing a bit of performance, but we're completely transforming the engine bay in this episode as well. So let's get into it. Right, so we're in the shed and we're working on the clapper. Now, if you missed the last episode, this is my brother's GU and he's been building it up over time. It started life as a fully Raptor coated factory turbo coil cab ute. The motor ended up being destroyed, so we went ahead and found a silver top and just put that in and then swapped all the turbo gear over. He's since then gone and swapped all the panels out, painted the rest of the cab and put a new tray on it. And that's where I'm pretty much stepping in and just giving him a hand, because this is still really janky. Like, this front bull bar needs to go. We've got a bunch of performance parts ready to go in because the thing is slower than a slow thing, a very slow thing. This is extremely not fast and we're going to be making it fast. So injector pump, turbo, manifold, like all of it is pretty much cooked inside of here. The injector pump is leaking. It's already leaked all on my floor. I'm going to start by pretty much just stripping it. So getting rid of this bull bar, the grille, the headlights pretty much just, I don't know what that's doing, but the manifold needs to come off, turbo, exhaust, pretty much a full strip down. Don't know about these lights. So in the last episode, we did this massive list. So there is quite a lot of stuff that needs to get done, a lot of custom stuff too. So it is going to take a while, but the good thing is this car is like 90, I'm going to say 80 actually, 80% complete, because Harry's just been working on it in the background and we're just coming in, doing that last little 20%, making this thing fast, look good, perform good, and all of the above. Can't wait to get this bar off, so I'm going to do that first. Now I want to make a custom winch bar for the clapper, so this one has to go. It also has a King's winch attached to it that doesn't work, but I want to use this as a mock-up for the new bar, so I need to get that out. Now that that's over, I'm going to get the clapper outside to remove the radiator to make life easier when installing the injector pump. Now that the turbo and manifold are off, I need to separate the two so we can look at the turbo. My chances with this rust though does not look good. Alright, so I've managed to get the turbo off. And this here is an Arashi 18G. I wasn't sure if it was a 16 or an 18, but it definitely says TD05 18G on the top. So we're most likely going to be using this turbo. It does feel healthy. One way you can check it is just by trying to move the fins up and down and forward and back and just see how much plays on the shaft. This feels really good, to be honest. Like, there is a little bit of movement, but when there's oil pressure in there, everything's going to tighten up, and I think this is going to be fine. Like, I've felt much worse turbos before and ran much worse turbos than that. I'm assuming that we're going to need around the 30 pounder boost, because my car on a 220 horsepower pump has about 27 pounder boost. So this thing is going to be singing its little guts out. But yeah, quite a big turbo. You can see it's a T3 flange there. Pretty bad condition overall. Like, it definitely needs a tidy up. But for what we're chasing and budget restraints at the moment, this is going to be fine. So pretty much got the exhaust manifold off, radiator out, everything's disconnected. I actually decided to disconnect the whole wiring harness because I want to tidy this harness up. It's just looking messy. You can see we had a massive exhaust leak back here because 3 of the bolts weren't even on there. 3 of the nuts weren't tightened up. The exhaust manifold is here. Now, it is ancient, fallen apart. Look at this thing. It has seen its day. It's an old split tube one, so it's actually split here to allow for heat and expansion. They're pretty good. They flow all right, but our new manifold is going to crap on this one. So the next step is to remove the injector pump. So I haven't disconnected pretty much anything. I just made sure we've got everything out the way so it's nice and easy to get to. But that 10mm pump in there, we need to remove it. So all the injector lines, all the fuel lines, and then this plate at the front here comes off, and that's how we get to the nut inside that's actually holding it on. I might get this car out and degrease it before I take the injector pump off, degrease the whole engine bay, and that way we can pull it in, take the pump off, and then get ready to fit the new pump when we get the gasket tomorrow. Now these injector pumps are super old school, but they're very, very technical. And I like to think of them as pretty much a little motor that's attached to your motor. So they have inside of there a cam wheel, and everything is timed on plungers to deliver the fuel up to the injector. On a petrol car, an injector will have an electronic way of opening and closing, and on a common rail as well. So what a common rail will do is pressurize that rail, and then each injector will just open when it gets a pulse of electricity. These work on literally timing. So a cam wheel will rotate round and it'll make the plunger work, and little valves will open and close and deliver the fuel up to the injector. So we need to make sure before we pull this out that this is timed so that we can put the other one in exactly the same and we won't lose the timing. It's very critical. On these TD42s, on the cam wheel, there's actually a little triangle, and you've got to line it up with the other triangle on the idler pulley, or whatever you want to call that, idler gear. So yeah, very important. I've got everything disconnected and I'm ready to actually get it into that time position. I'll see if I can show you guys. It is quite tricky to get in there. So these silver tops are a 41mm crank nut, and in order to rotate the motor around, you basically got to get that size socket. Timed up, I did misspeak as well. It's 2 Zs, not 2 arrows, but I don't know if you guys can see. They're using a mirror. I've paint marked the other side, so there's 1 Z on the right side and 2 Zs on the left. You got to make sure those teeth are perfectly merged in there. The hard part is these aren't straight cut gears, they're cut on an angle. So when you're putting it back in, you've actually got to rock the car back and forth. So I will need Harry just to put this new one in. I don't think I'll be able to do it by myself. But now I can take the gear off and then just slide the injector pump back and it should come out. That got it. So there is our gear. And here's the pump. This is a classic example of you versus the guy she told you not to worry about. This unit being a stock 10mm, there was nothing wrong with it except for the fact it was leaking. And what it was leaking out of is this dodgy repair job by Mr. Harrison. He was trying to replace an O-ring under here because it was originally leaking, and he actually snapped the bolt off in there. After trying to remove it, he tried to just JB weld it, you can see, but not a permanent fix anyway, because he always wanted to upgrade this pump. And now we're upgrading the pump. So some differences with this unit is it's got the boost compensator on top. So as the boost increases into the engine, it's going to compensate with fuel. So it'll increase fuel as boost ramps in. Very important to keep your AFRs right the whole way through. It's also got a 12mm plunger, where this one only has a 10mm plunger. You can go up and down about 20% from what's stamped on the pump. So we could go up to probably 290 horsepower, or we could go down to 250. We're just going to see where we end up, where the car's happy, and go from there. The other thing is, I couldn't really show it in the car, but this is the pulley, and I've just put a paint mark in between the 2 Zs. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see there, but they're only very minor little engravings. So little paint mark's just going to help me see, just to put everything back on. We need to go ahead get all this installed and get to the 250 freaking horsepower, 270, 280, 290. What you guys are about to witness today is a legendary tactic known as the marketplace rebuild. It's been done many of times before, typically right before a sale. It's where you pretty much just get 2 spray cans and just spray everything black. Now this is going to do 2 things. It's going to allow Harry to rock up to a car show, pop his bonnet and have a guy roll over with a big mullet. Not bad, not bad. It's also going to protect it from the rust that's starting to build up in the engine bay, which is quite a fair bit. There's a big hole underneath the battery there. A few bits of surface rust coming through. I've already masked up the VIN plates and the mod plate, and I've sanded as much as I want to sand at the moment. So now we all know that this is not the correct way to do it, but we don't want to spend too much time on this engine bay. This is still the clapper at heart. We just want to make it look a little bit better. So we've got this engine enamel. It's high temp stuff. Everything is going black. After 4 cans of Super Cheap Auto's finest spray paint, the engine bay was done and it actually turned out not too bad. Now I wanted to do something a little bit fancy with the tappet cover, so I'm taking that off to get it painted, and then I'm also removing the turbo front housing to do the same. After some quick wire wheeling and prep, it was time for the primer and then for the paint. Oh, look who just rocked up after all the painting's done.
I'm just here doing all the bloody work again. Just wrapping some stuff up.
I'm just putting some car builder's tape on this. It just looks a heck of a lot better. Engine bay is painted. Well, mostly painted. I did run a bit thin on this wall here because I was running out of paint. For the most part, block's done, engine's done, rear wall. I think it looks pretty good overall. You reckon it looks good?
Way better.
The longevity of it might be questionable though.
Yeah, you don't know what's what, but it looks good.
Literally everything got sprayed. Like, check out the master cylinders, fuel filter, like pretty much everything just got smashed with black. Actually also had some really, really nice black pearl left over from respraying my dad's bonnet. So we decided to do the tapper cover and the turbo in that color, and it turned out absolutely sick. It's a Navara paint, but it's such a nice color. It's got like 7 different pearls in it. Super, super nice. So with the turbo done and that done, I think it's going to look a lot better in the engine bay. If we went ahead and sprayed everything in that satin black, it just would have looked super average, eh?
Yeah, you need the rocker cover to pop.
Definitely need like something to break it up. So that's why I figured do the turbo, do the tapper cover nice, and then everything else is just black. Harry's picked up some new gaskets for the exhaust manifold. So take these off. So new ones are these, so I'll put them all on. Then we can bolt our new manifold from HD Auto on and put the bolts in and probably get the turbo bolted up. That way we can actually see everything in there. I think this engine bay transformation, one-day transformation, is going to be pretty epic. Right, so this is the new manifold from HD Auto. It's a twin scroll manifold, meaning it's actually got 2 ports here to help with boost and flow. But this is a much better upgrade over the stock one that we had. Not only is it one piece and not split, it's just a lot better flow. The way that the runners come in, you can see they're angled in towards the turbo, meaning that the exhaust gas is going to flow a lot better into the turbo. Right, so we've got these old nuts going back on. Man, that looks so much better. So much nicer. With manifolds, work from the center out, and you just nip it up and then go through and do a final torque after that. 2K paint. That didn't work. There we go. I put grease on it before. I just went with grease. I couldn't be bothered masking it up. Right, well, I'm going to put this back on now. It's just dry enough, but turned out sick. I don't know if you guys can see the pearl in it. Can't really see it in here anyway, but just got to be as gentle as possible putting this back on. So I might bolt this on and then fit the front, because then we can clock it properly. This turbo is an internally gated turbo, so you can see this is the wastegate here, and it opens up that exhaust flap. That's how it regulates the boost. Harry wanted to go external like Ron Burgundy is, just for the sound, but the internal actually is a lot easier to adjust because you don't have to change the springs and whatnot. So in terms of like just keeping it simple, this turbo and the internal gate is perfect for what we're doing. So I've obviously got to spin this main housing around too, because that's the oil drain, which means the feed is here. So we'll have to clock that right around, which is super fun. Oh, that's stuck. So that's the exhaust wheel. That's called a turbo core. So inducer, ex-juicer. Bearings feel good. Bring a few friends. Have a party. No, you want to bring this bolt up to where you can actually tighten it. Yep, that spins nice. So if that wasn't on properly, you'd hear that scraping. About there. Is that straight down? Oh, holy dooly! That's a motor. It's hard because that's cast. It's like porous, so it doesn't go. It doesn't gloss up like the tappet cover. But I still think once you get a turbo beanie on, the contrast now between the gloss and then the satin black firewall and the new manifold and stuff looks absolutely mint. We don't have any intercooler pipes. We've still got to get the intercooler mounted. But I'm going to start putting the pump on while Harry bolts that down. Then we're just one step closer to big horsepower boy. Right, so I'm about to put this big pump on, but I just wanted to make sure that our keyways were lined up in the same spot. So I've just gone ahead and I popped that on there and then spun it to the right spot. And that's going to help our white mark there with our two Zs line up. So it should go into roughly the right position now. Just like a couple of turns. This way more, like more than the back one. Got it. Beautiful. Come on, Hayden, that was quick, mate. I know we'll be watching. It took Hayden and I friggin' hours to do that. What was that? 15 minutes, not even.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
But we knew the trick. So basically, I sat the pulley in and lined the teeth up first, but then this Woodruff key wasn't in line with our actual key on the pulley. So by rocking it back and forth, it rotates this gear and it just keeps going back and forth, and then all of a sudden it just pops onto the shaft here. You got to make sure all that thread is pretty much exposed before you put this on, otherwise you'll tighten it up and you'll stuff that shaft. You can't line both of them up at the same time because it's sprung, the pump is like sprung loaded. So you get the teeth in, and then by rocking it back and forth, we're chasing that spring-loaded setting, and then the gear pops on. Does that make sense? So I don't know if you guys can see that, but we are perfectly aligned right there. So the white marks are on those Z's, and then you can see on the actual nut here, the nut's almost flush with the end of the shaft. That means that it's pushed right back onto the Woodruff key. So we are perfectly seated up, ready to rumble. 10mm Allen key on the boost comp here. That there is our timing. So that can be tightened up now. Thanks, Hayden, mate. Good trick. Makes it easy. I like easy.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great.
All right, it is a brand new day in the shed, and we're going to keep cracking on with this engine bay. As you can see, I've got the radiator in, turbo mounted up, new manifold on, fuel pump is finished up, I've plumbed it all up. Did have to swap over some stuff on the pump that would have been a lot easier on the table as well that I didn't realize about, so I swapped them out. All the injector lines are on, batteries sitting in here. Pretty much everything is back to where it was, minus a few little bits and pieces. What I want to do next is fix the exhaust and make the dump pipe. If you guys missed the last episode, this exhaust is just not right. So what I want to do is chop the end off that and have it come out somewhere around about here, so that way we don't have to bugger around with any more mounting, because there is a mount right behind this chassis rail there. For the dump pipe, now that we've gone high mount, our old one's not going to work. So we're going to have to try and make something for that. I do have this ZD30 dump pipe left over from my old ZD30. And honestly, I thought it was a different turbo flange, but we might have tinned this here, because if you see that side is the turbo, they line up absolutely perfectly. So we might be in business with just whacking this thing in. All right, I managed to get the old bit out. Just that was left in there. So now, should be able to just try and snake this down or up. I have to bring it up. Yeah, it's not it. Not even close. What was I thinking? Right, well this dump pipe is not going to work without some heavy modification. So we may as well just use this one and modify it. I do have some stainless 3-inch pipe here left over from a project, and it fits perfectly. So all we've pretty much got to do is extend this up. So I've got to pretty much make a piece of pipe that goes in the middle of that at the right height, but also because we've rotated the turbo, this isn't clocked in the right direction. So we're gonna have to cut this flange off in like a specific way so that it is facing vertically down, and then I can extend the pipe straight down into this. Right, so the dump pipe is made. It's right here. It's not the best piece of art that I've ever made, but it's not far behind last place. Harry rocked up. I actually needed a hand with the dump pipe. I couldn't hold everything myself, so he was just giving me a hand. We also have some wrap left over, so we're going to wrap it so you don't see all my perfect welds. But the next thing I'm going to be doing is fixing this exhaust. So we're not fixing it, just shortening it. So currently it comes out the back here. I kind of want it to come out here somewhere. So just start cutting the pipe up and see if I can just make that tip work. There is a 90 at the end, so I'll just chop that 90 off and I'll just see what it looks like in here, and then I'll have to chop it off in there and weld it together. Right, so cut that off, and that can go in there, like that, between the two tray mounts. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it looks really good.
If you hate cyclists, this is like the anti-cyclist exhaust. It's just...
That's straight in someone's window exhaust. Throw her out the back, mate.
That has to be the weirdest exhaust pipe. Someone just made that literally
That's a home jobber.
straight over the bloody tray, or straight under the tray. Like zero effort. Yeah, so this will sit now, if I've cut it right, sit like that.
Hectic.
Look good?
Yeah.
Kind of turned up. It's going to be insane when you're on boost and it's going. Right, well that's the exhaust fully welded in. It was really hard to get to those welds at the top there, but managed to make it work. The dump pipe is also ready to go on. You can see we kept the flange here. It's just easier to weld, but that's actually not bolted. So we just got to bolt it at the bottom there and then at the top. Get that bolted in now, and then that's pretty much the whole exhaust done. And probably move on to the intercooler then. Oh yeah, that's a bloody exhaust and a dump pipe, all done with that. So now we're moving on to the intercooler, and that is a HD Auto intercooler kit. So this here is a 600 by 300, pretty standard size for a patrol, but obviously a very big cooler. That's gonna go there somewhere, but we're gonna have to remove some of this stuff. Right, so I'm gonna start by taking this fan off and just seeing how far we can push those lines back. I had to push mine so far back, my lines, to fit it on the S4. Take that out. You pretty much pull a whole patrol apart, just a 12 and a 14. Maybe a 10 every now and again. I'm pretty sure this support definitely has to come out. There's no way that can stay there. Don't need that one. This is pushed back a little bit, but it's not enough. It's this bend here that's holding it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually flip it. So the power steering cooler doesn't matter if it's coming in left or right because it just goes through and comes back. So there's two rubber hoses under this headlight. I'll take them off, take this bracketry off, literally 180 it so it pushes it back more. And in theory, it should work. Harry's looking at me really funny behind the camera. Thee have little faith, Harrison. So now these bends here are going to tuck in nicely like that. There's way more pushback. That side. Send her home. Leave them loose for a sec. Right, well that's the intercooler mounted. It's actually so nice. That bracket looks so much better than mine. Mine's just like bits of steel that I made up.
5 minutes to put on.
Yeah, it wasn't long. And then this just goes back on like that. I'll finish this up and then we might try and start it and just see if the pump's installed correctly. We're pretty much at a stopping point anyway because we're waiting on the intercooler pipes. So we'll get the battery hooked up, finish this up, try and turn the key and see if that pump primes up, and we're going to have to bleed it. It won't prime itself. Bleed it up and just make sure that she's still running. Battery's hooked up, intercooler's done, exhaust is done. I'm going to crack the injectors so they can bleed out all the air because we've put a new pump on it. So it's going to be full of air, and diesels hate that. And we basically will just crank it over until these leak diesel, which means it's purged the air out. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, it starts, it runs, and it sounds good. Dun dun dun.
Do you reckon she'll have like a camera?
I reckon it'll sound very different. Yep, with that exhaust and the pump. Mine sounded way different with the new pump. They sound just, obviously brand new pump, they just sound healthy. Anyway, it's time to start it and see what happens. Right, well we can't run it too long because we don't have the correct oil line. So we've just got the oil line going into a little tub here. Harry's going to jump in, start cranking it until I get fuel spraying out of here. I'll go ahead and nip that up, and then I think everything's fine to just run it for a minute or so and just listen to it. Go full throttle and off. Full throttle and off. Yep. Yep. Just get ready to kill it if something happens. Straight away. Go just one more time. Up. Tighten these up. Righto, just let it run for, if it starts up, let it run for a couple of seconds and just shut it off. Yep. Just be like, yeah, shout out. Shout out to Hayden from HD Auto. Absolute mint kit. If you guys want one, you guys know where to head, hdauto.com. Yeah, they have a ton more stuff like performance parts, 1HD FTE stuff, 1FZ stuff, whole range of crazy high horsepower stuff. So if you want to go check it out, HD Auto will have a link in the description below. But that's a huge tick of approval for this car. Huge tick. What do you got to say, Harry? It gets you keen when you first fire it up. You're like, I want to drive it, I want to drive it. My TD foot's already tapping. Already tapping. So today's Friday. Tomorrow I'm going to go get a intercooler pipe kit off Facebook Marketplace. It's already all stainless welded up for me. And then pick up a new... Go. You're getting close. Because there was, what do you call it, low mount last time. And now it's high mount. We need the oil line about 20 centimeters longer, so I'll get one of them made up tomorrow. And Brad's your uncle. He is. Brad is actually my uncle. So, yeah, that's pretty much almost the motor finish, which is crazy. Huge transformation. We should probably throw up on the camera now the old engine bay, because yeah, like that was a mess, eh? Yeah. From all the paint missing and all the rust that Tom fixed up, and it just looks 100 times better. Especially for a rattle can job, eh? Like, I honestly didn't expect it to look this good. I thought it would be like a little bit clappery still, but no. It actually looks pretty good. You can pop it at a show. Yeah. The tapper cover, when that tapper cover hits the sun and you see the sparkle in that and the turbo, that's going to be mint. That's the one sponsor I'd probably love to land is Celsius right now, because I actually love their drinks. Yeah, he drinks it non-stop. Non-stop. Right, so there is one more thing left to do, and that's to cross off what we've done. So pretty much, so turbo, wiring, fuel pump, manifold, front mount intercooler, air cleaner to airbox, that's not happening, storage, dual battery, fridge, exhaust, dump pipe. That's not bad for the first episode. Yeah. And it's kind of like, I mean, apart from making a bull bar, that's kind of like the biggest job. So, well, that is episode 1 complete. Even though the last episode was episode 1, this is technically episode 1 of actually working, because last week we didn't actually work. So, yeah, huge progress. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully doing some fabrication. Check out the links in the description below. We've got merch, Foam Lyfe, HD Auto's website, iTech, big sponsor of ours. Shout out to all them, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching. Do it for Dale. Freaking see you later.